Hey everyone, welcome to the CS show. CS stands not only for customer success, but also for content secrets. This podcast explores the content secrets of customer success leaders.
We put a spotlight on content innovation and bring you an inside look at some of the most interesting moves made by customer success teams and leaders to address growth and scale through content.
We are your co-hosts. I'm Dina.
And I'm Guy. And on today's episode, we talk with Boaz Gordon. Boaz is the VP of Customer Experience at Centrical. He was leading his team through a hypergrowth stage where Centrical needed to scale and they had to be very fast to enable customers to get the most of their SaaS platform. In the context of this podcast, this was the perfect time to develop unique, scalable, personalized, and interestingly enough, a gamified customer education program. I cannot wait anymore to hear more about it.
So let's get started. Hi Boaz, we're
Hey
happy to
guys.
have you here with
Hey
us.
Dina, hey Guy.
Hey,
Excited to be
Boaz.
here.
To start with, can you tell us about your background and experience as a customer success leader?
So I've been in the tech industry for about 15 years now, mainly working with delivery and customer success organizations throughout the year. And as Guy mentioned, I'm all about scaling up operations of these kind of organizations, looking into processes and methodologies and tools and best practices that will help customer success managers to work effectively and to scale our businesses.
What is your background and experience with content in this context?
It's a great question. I think content is everything. We are delivering content to customers in many ways, shapes and forms, during weekly meetings, during, with emails, with platforms. And I think content is what first educate customers, create awareness, drive product adoption. And we are very busy in creating content throughout our interactions with customers, making sure that it helps their success and also ours.
Right. What problem does your company solve and what industry do you serve?
So Centrical is a next-gen employee engagement and performance platform that help companies make their employees the center of business success. And our offering combines advanced gamification, personalized microlearning, real-time employee performance management and coaching that guide both employees and managers at scale. Our bread and butter is mainly contact centers, but not only, various verticals and industries from tech and pharma and more traditional industries as well.
And who are your customers, your end users?
So end users are frontline agents. If we are taking a contact center example, these are frontline agents, whether from sales perspective or sales perspective, interacting with their end clients to serve the companies that they are working with.
Boaz, can you tell us more about the circumstances and or the challenges that you had with Centrical and eventually led you to explore solution using content? What was the business challenge and what did you actually wanted to solve?
Yeah, so let me take you and our audience roughly 3 years back. It was the end of the day, and I was just finished my meetings for the day, wrapping up some emails, and I was about to head home, where I got a call from one of our CSMs from our office in New York. And by the tone of her voice, I immediately noticed that something is wrong. She was telling me that she just got off a call with a customer, letting her know that the training manager with whom she was working in the past year got promoted and that they are bringing someone else to replace him. She was very happy with this promotion, great, but she shared with me that she's worried that now she would need to spend time again and again retraining the new admin And instead of focusing on the plans that she had for the customer for the next quarter, she would need to now spend time in retraining. And honestly, I didn't have much to tell her besides maybe sharing some previous recordings of previous calls that she had. Maybe it will speed up the time of enabling the new admin. And this was, it's a small moment in the life of a CSM, but it's very common, and it's a very common frustration that all CSMs are facing. So back then, what we did, we did the most natural thing that everyone can do in these cases, and we blame everyone else, right? We blame the product, we blame sales, we blame even the customers themselves, and we tried throughout the years many ways to solve these frustrations.
Can you show us maybe one or two examples? How did you try to solve it before?
So it was mainly focusing on restructuring our knowledge base, our help center. And it was, like I said before, recording training sessions and resharing them. And let me tell you a secret, nobody is watching them afterwards. So many ways in making, we brought customer education to deliver the training itself instead of the CSM. We tried all kinds of ways.
And what was the customer's feedback when you tried all those solutions?
So customers, are really enjoying being guided and this hand-holding. But at the end of the day, what it creates a situation that they're very dependent on us. And this is also where frustration comes into the picture also from the customer side, that they need us for everything, that they don't feel experts of the platform, and that it basically slows them down.
So we can say that let's say the challenges came both internally from the CSM teams that actually saw the amount of duplicated work that they had to do. At the same time, you felt that the customers, or you had good feedback from the customers that indicating that something has to be done differently.
Yeah, we noticed that CSMs and technical account managers were spending a lot of their time with customers in what we call training land, right? During onboarding and after it. And it was clear to us that if we can solve this challenge of the number of hours spent on training, it will have a significant impact on our ability to scale.
So how did you solve this challenge, especially in the content aspect?
Yeah. So we were playing with this idea of using our own platform to build a university for admins. And it's important to mention here that when I'm saying admins, there are a lot of people who are involved in, from the customer side, training managers, business owners, admins who are managing users, and the gamification aspects of the platform. And this idea of building a university for admins using our own platform was first introduced by our CTO a couple of years back. And it was a perfect timing where we had a solid business case to start working on this initiative and change something that is really fundamental in the way that we are enabling customers. And this is how PowerUp came to life.
And who created the content underlying the training?
So it's mainly the customer education team. Customer education team is working very closely with customer success to gather requirements and needs. Also working very closely with the product team on new enhancements and new capabilities that are about to be released. And in general, like a close alignment on product roadmap and what's coming ahead.
Okay. And can you describe the enablement solution you developed?
So PowerUp is a self-paced customer academy. Let's call it this way. It's a fully gamified learning program that helps customer to learn about Centrical by using Centrical. We are using our own platform to enable the customer. We had 3 principles. One of them is, experiencing the Centrical platform exactly like their own users will experience it. So it was very important for us that they will go through the same experience as their users will. It's guided learning path supporting the onboarding journey and beyond. They're learning new skills on the platform to really become experts, and they earn professional certifications for doing it.
And what types of content did you use for that?
Many types, from quizzes and videos and simulations and guided demos. It was also very important for us that it will be experiential learning. So we are incorporating a lot of practice throughout the learning. We're using a lot of surveys throughout the learning path to assess their confidence level. It's not only that they, learn something new. We want them to feel confident in applying what they've just learned in the real world, right? Yeah, we're using a blended method to tap into also different personality types and different ways of the different ways that people are consuming content.
You mentioned that it was gamified. Can you describe the gamification you used?
Absolutely. So here, besides the basic, gamification that I'm sure that most of our audience knows, which is points and badges and leaderboard, which are nice. Centrical is offering advanced gamification capabilities that really taps into the intrinsic motivation of the learner, giving a lot of choice to the learner to decide their own path with personalization, with a sense of community. For example, the ability to send kudos one to another if someone is helping you. We have a very robust virtual store as admins are consuming content and progressing in their learning. They're earning resources that they can then spend on the virtual store for themselves, for their users, for their colleagues. We'll talk, I think, a little bit later on the contributions module of the platform. We also have an overarching narrative, a story for this learning. So the learning takes place in a story that is called hike and seek. And as you are consuming learning, you are progressing in a journey in different terrains, mountains, forests. All kinds of bad things happen to you, and you need to overcome them, and you need to make decisions, making it a little bit bigger than the learning itself.
It sounds very nice.
It is.
Quick follow-up question on this one. Did the gamification concept actually trigger interest in your customers that they would like to create gamification experience for their end users who they train using your platform?
So I think this is exactly what we wanted to achieve, that if they will go through a fully gamified, rich experience, they would want to do the same for their end users. And I remember one of the admins shared in the survey response that whenever I'm running out of ideas, I'm going to power up and copy paste ideas from there. And this is exactly what we wanted to achieve, to spark ideas on how they can shape their learning experience to their employees.
Thanks.
So how long did it take you to design and develop the content and the whole story and game around it?
Yes, this is an important question because it's always about time and resources. The initial design and setting up the platform and building the content for the initial launch took us something like 6 months. And wow. I remember the first discussion we had after we decided we were going to build PowerUp. It was in our offices in New York, and our customer education manager and I were sketching our thoughts on a whiteboard. And we spent time not only talking about the different learning paths and the topics and the content types, we were also discussing feelings. how do we want the learner to feel after taking a course, or what behaviors we want to drive. We were discussing the concept, as I mentioned before, of autonomy, that we want learners to have by providing them the ability to choose their own path and their own way of learning. And we were also very mindful that introducing something like Power Up to the CS organization would require change management. And we mapped how it's going to change the way that we are interacting with customers and how the onboarding process would need to change and how we can help CSM adapt and transition into this new way of customer enablement. We also spend significant time mapping the different admin profiles, their pains, their needs, doing a lot of prioritization. And we interviewed CSMs and technical account managers. We were looking into NPS responses and support tickets and establishing our principles that no matter what content we are creating, it's based on the principles of learning by doing, and it's about specializing in specific areas. You're learning only what you need to know, and more importantly, to learn it when you need it throughout the onboarding and beyond.
Can you let us see some examples?
Absolutely. All right. So this is the Centrical platform and the power of implementation using the platform. And here at the homepage, we see already how the specific admin is doing in the 4 pillars of the Centrical platform: administration, real-time performance management, personalized microlearning, and advanced gamification, and how many certification credits they've earned so far. I was mentioning the hide and seek storyline narrative that we have. So this is one of the terrains. As I'm earning more resources, I can unlock hotspots on the map, and all kinds of surprises are coming. The learning is organized into courses, and here we see different courses that were completed at the different stages. Some content is assigned automatically to the admin based on their role, and other content can be self-enrolled using the course catalog. And here we have additional courses mainly focused on advanced features and best practices, not only the how to do stuff on the platform. I mentioned also the certification badges and the entire gamified solution and how we drive behaviors, so we can see that admins are awarded with different badges based on different type of actions that they're taking on the platform, by consuming content, by taking exercises, by answering surveys and engaging in different ways. And as they are earning badges and coins, they can also redeem them in the virtual store. So maybe they can purchase a pack of badges or mini games that they can then take and deploy for their end users. So my learning is impacting others. And another thing that I want to show you here is the contributions. So this is a way where admins can share with their colleagues, everyone else basically on the Power Up platform, their best practices and recommendation and secret sauce, how to do stuff on the platform. They can get upvotes from other colleagues, and they earn what we call gem powers. Then the more gem powers you collect, you are awarded with gems, which basically represents your expertise level. So if everyone see that I have 50 gem powers, maybe this person, is an expert, and their tip or their advice is can be very helpful for me. This is a way to create knowledge sharing across admins and a sense of community.
It's a very unique, I think, onboarding experience, and the process you went through is very unique as well. It's not just the outcome itself; it's a process. It is very unique.
We are in the business of changing behaviors, so we're changing behaviors of customers, of users, but we are changing our behaviors as well. And in order to make sure that it's successful, we need to address it like this with a proper enablement also internally. We're drinking our own champagne here, so it's the same as our users are going through. We need to do the same.
Right.
Let's talk about the outcome was. Obviously, it sounds very interesting, and you went through a significant effort to create the academy, to create the gamification aspects. What were let's say, the major impact that you noticed, other than the changes you had to go internally, but with the customer experience? For example, were you able to see a better onboarding experience?
So first of all, from time perspective, if you now open our, kickoff presentation that we're using, the word training is not mentioned there. There are no training sessions. There are no time allocated for that. And this is super important. Set the expectations from the very beginning that this is the way that you're going to learn by using PowerUp, by our help center. So just by that, we saved roughly 5 hours of formal training during onboarding process. And we are talking a lot about onboarding, but a lot of the training also comes after onboarding. During onboarding, we're just scratching the surface of the Centrical capabilities. So learning happens throughout the customer journey. But for us, I think it was less about saving time. It's more about repurposing it. So instead of spending time in what we call training length, CSMs and technical account managers can now spend more time with customer discussing, objectives and needs, and providing best practices and recommendations, having more strategic conversations with customers rather than explaining terminology and how a certain feature is working. And I also think that PowerUp also sends a clear message of ownership that customers are expected to take when it comes to working with the Centrical platform. And the more experienced and knowledgeable and independent they will be, the more value they will gain from the platform. And it also helps us drive product adoption, first from awareness perspective, and also making sure that admins, they learn how to do it, they practice it, and implement it for their end users. So I think there are benefits in this aspect as well.
Nice. And did you see these, let's say, benefits and outcome across the different customer segments? So it was relevant for, let's say, enterprise, high-touch customers as well as low-touch customers?
So we have a wide variety of customers, more high-touch, B2B, huge organization, tens of thousands of employees, and multiple implementations within, under one logo. And we have smaller customers with smaller implementations. I think that the benefit is all across. Also for the big customers where we are more working with a center of excellence, right? That they are the one who are training their own, train the trainer, right? Training their own admins and onboarding themselves. In a way, we need to make sure that they are well-trained, well-enabled on the platform. And of course, for smaller customers, this is their way to be independent. So the benefit was all across. We did see some differences in vertical and industries, I would say. I think that there are still customers who are more used to the more traditional way of being enabled with more live training. And here there was more education process, to change their behavior and explain them the value of PowerUp. So in some cases, we do find ourselves still, I would say complement PowerUp with additional live training when needed.
Thank you.
Before we wrap up, can you take us behind the scenes with an anecdote about the team, the process, or the customers that was unique or exciting?
So two things that come to my mind. So they're earning certifications and badges and this nice diploma. And I remember the first time that we saw someone sharing their badge on LinkedIn which for us was super exciting. And we were like, it worked, right? We were able to bring a customer into a place where they are sharing with their colleagues, with their network, their achievement. They feel proud of themselves. They feel experts. And this is exactly, we were talking about feelings. This is exactly the feeling that we were looking for. So this was a very nice moment, and it happens every time when admins are sharing their certifications on social networks. And another thing that comes to my mind is we're talking about, how do we drive engagement with Power Up and changing behaviors of customers. And I think that I think it was a year ago or something like that. We had our global CS meeting, and we were brainstorming on ideas how to drive engagement. And we asked CSMs and technical account managers to share how they are doing it. And one of the CSMs, I remember, shared that he has a customer that is really lagging behind on their learning. So what he did, he was opening Power Up in the customer in the weekly meeting, going to the leaderboard page, and he wasn't afraid to pull the publicly shaming other people who are lagging behind the leaderboard and congratulating the ones who are at the top of the leaderboard, tapping into the more competitive nature of people. And it had an immediate effect of people who are like, okay, I really need to go and earn these points and to climb up the leaderboard. So there are carrot and stick, but I remember it was a really cool approach, to leverage it, to leverage the leaderboard, to get to drive the behavior.
Yeah, amazing.
Okay, Boaz, thank you very much for sharing your experience with us. I found the story and the experience very, very interesting and insightful. Using your Power Up application and terminology, I'm sure this episode and your story will power up our audience for thinking about new creative ideas to create content and help their customers. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon in more episodes.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Buzz. So, Guy, what do you think is the most important takeaway from today's episode?
As mentioned before with Boaz, a very interesting and insightful story by him and about Centrical way of handling this challenge. The main first point I took upon myself is the fact that I was actually using their platform, Power Up, to actually power up their administrators and end users to be able to use the platform and understand the capabilities using the gamification concept. But at the same time, and Boaz was very clear about it, they were driving adoption and they were creating some interesting thoughts and ideas in the mind of their administrators, how they could further use and develop this platform to create possibly their own gamification experience for their own users. So I think it's a very unique point in the way that they approached this challenge and how eventually they created, the solution and the content around it.
That's right. Buzz mentioned the wealth of content, the variety of content they used.
Yeah, which I think is a must-have when they chose to go for a gamification experience, because if you want to do that, you have to design it properly, create the right visualization experience. At the same time, he mentioned a lot of types of content, videos, simulations, guided tours. He said generally experimental learnings, assignments, surveys, community sharing, kudos. So I think as a company or as a team, they had to invest a lot of time in planning it, designing it correctly, not just the pure content itself, but how to wrap it all together and make it as interesting and as exciting for their users.
Yeah, and the last point that was interesting is the experiential aspect of the onboarding process.
Yeah, correct. Boaz mentioned that they were generally taking approach of driving experimental onboarding and training. So their administrators will not just go through another training or a set of courses, but they will feel proud about what they do. They earn badges. He even mentioned that they were very proud that one of their administrators, their end users, actually promoted it over LinkedIn, which is a very good way of them, Centrical, seeing that their academy actually gaining more traction, and that obviously gets more traction out there for other customers or for other prospects. And generally, emotionally connecting with your administrators, with your end users, is a great way to create, to improve the relationship, to improve the adoption, and eventually it's a win-win for both sides.
Absolutely. So thanks, Guy, and thank you all for being with us today. We hope you enjoyed the episode, and please share it with your colleagues, and stay tuned for our next episode. See you next time.
See you next time. Thank you, Dina.
Bye.
Bye-bye.